All right. Hi, Mike. What's going on, man? So, Walter touched on something this morning during his morning coffee that got me thinking. He said he would be happy if he could, design a tire and things like that, like the one he printed yesterday. And so I thought, why don't I just stream my whole process from beginning to end, um, and give everybody the opportunity to download the template file that I have set up to design the vehicles for my MVS, my Modular Vehicle System. And so basically, you just go to my website and download the file. Download and install Blender, which is why we're starting on this page right here. So you can see Blender is completely open source and free. It says creative freedom starts here, and it absolutely does. And I just want to show that you don't have to be an expert in this. You don't have to be an amazingly talented 3D designer or artist or anything to design stuff. And so the reason I'm providing the template, though, is to essentially make it possible so that everyone can start with and build stuff for the MVS system, which I think will be neat if you get a bunch of people designing vehicles and components for the MVS stuff, and then we can create a standard as we do it so that parts are interchangeable for everything. So if you don't already have Blender, the place to start is www.blender.org, and you can download it for free and install it on your computer. That's where you get started. So just click that link there, follow the instructions. It's really simple. And then the next thing will be go to my website, which is tanner3d.com, and on the home page, right now it's at the top because it's the most recent thing I did. Click on the Build Along live stream series thing, and it outlines again download Blender. And then down here, when you get to this is the template. I've hosted the template on my website, so you can just right click it, save link as, wherever you want to save it. You've got the ability to download and start with the template. Walter, Country Club in the house. I do have my chat turned on low latency instead of ultra low latency because I seem to have more lag on my end at ultra low latency. So Rover is in the house too. All right, so yeah, download Blender, then go to tanner3d.com, click on the Build Along live stream series post that I put up there today, and right click, save the template file. And then, of course, you guys are already subscribed, but I put this out here for anybody who is following me from other sources. Like I do some posts of this stuff over on G.I. Joe Collector website and things like that. So hopefully it will drive some more people into the 3D design and from there 3D printing. The goal is to grow the community. This community is wonderful, and I'd love to see even more wonderful people in it. All right, so if you've got Blender downloaded and installed, you've went to my website and downloaded the template, we're going to open Blender, which I keep mine as one of my buttons down here on my start menu thing. Open up Blender. All right, whenever you open Blender, you get this starting screen, but we're going to open up, and for me it's recent because it was the last thing I saved. All right, so here we are starting with the base template for the MVS system. Now this is the MVS heavy template, so this is for a larger vehicle like the truck I've been building, which I don't know if you can see over my shoulder back there or not. Is it? Can't see it on the screen. Anyway, no, I guess not. I guess it's over the other shoulder. Anyhow, this is the same template I used to build that truck. The same template I used to build the bus. And so start off by just kind of describing the pieces that you see before you. This is the lower frame piece, the subframe piece. This is what all of the frame connectors that will connect the multiple sections together look like. So you print as many of those as you need. You know, there's potential for 4 of them to be clicked into place. There's a little pin that you can, that's optional. If you don't want to use the pin, you can just use glue, or I haven't figured out what size of screw it's going to be yet. I need to actually take one of these pieces with me to the hardware store and just test fit some screws in it and see which screw works best. Now, here you see a couple of different axles. Now, the differences between these axles, if you want a suspension that rides higher, this is the axle that is being used on the truck. The axle being used on the bus is a lower profile one, so it brings the tire up closer to the frame, which lowers the suspension. And then this piece you see here is like the floor for a body piece that will be sandwiched, and it will help add rigidity, keeping those frame connectors and everything all together, and provide a clean floor so that you don't see all of this stuff below in the final model. So I guess where we're going to start, Walter talked about designing a tire. We're going to design the wheel first. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to the Create tab on Blender. And for creating a wheel, it's best to start with a cylinder. So we'll start with a cylinder. Now, because of the scale we're working in, everything when you first bring it in is going to be huge. But you just hit S and scale it down. Scroll wheel on your mouse will zoom you in closer. Scale it down. I'll go over here and bring it close to one of these axles so that we can model it around the axle. We're going to hit R to rotate. We're going to rotate it along the x-axis, 90 degrees. Now what I'm doing here, the number pad keys, 1 will put you in the straight on side view, 3 puts you in the front view, 7 puts you in the top view, and if you toggle 5 gives you the orthoscopic view. Anyway, it makes sure that if you want to be able to see like scaling and distance, you would have it the parametric view. That's what I'm looking for. Parametric view. Scaling and distance, like if you were building a landscape and you wanted it to look like as things were farther away, they were smaller, that's what you would do. But if you're trying to keep your scale accurate, you want to hit 5 so that you're in orthoscopic view, so that it's not, or parametric view, whatever it is, I forget. Anyhow, so that it's not all out of whack and weird looking. It's more apparent if I hit it there. You can see, because then the stuff closer to the camera, it makes it bigger for perspective. We don't want that when we're designing something static like this. All right, so the Z key is will take you back and forth from wireframe, and that's going to be helpful when you're trying to line some stuff up. The little dot you see on the circle there is the center point of the cylinder. You're going to roughly, at least, line it up with the center of the axle. And I forgot to check on the cylinder over here. I don't know if you can change that afterwards. I meant to. All right. Well, so you can see things aren't always perfect. So what we're I didn't plan this out well. When you create it initially, you can determine how many sides you want the cylinder to have and all that. Which, if you've got something specific in mind, say you specifically want a 5-spoke wheel, you want to make sure that your cylinder that you've created has a number of sides that's divisible by the number of spokes you want to use. So if you want a 5-spoke wheel, your cylinder needs to be, the number of sides needs to be divisible by 5. 35, 40, 45, 50, etc. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that, and I didn't even look to see, so I'm going to delete this one. Even though we just spent the time to get it lined up, I'm going to delete it and start over. I'm going to create another cylinder. I'm going to go down here. Oh, this one only had... Scroll back. This one only had 32 vertices. And we want it to have more than 32 vertices because I do want to do a 5-spoke wheel on this design. Let's see how 45 looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we're going to scale it down. And I'm sorry if I'm not watching chat very closely. It's hard to watch this screen and keep up with chat. So if you need an answer to a question, make sure you do the @Tanner3D, so I'll see the orange highlight out of my peripheral there and give it the attention it deserves. Rotate along the X. So I hit R to rotate, and if you hit the X key, it will constrain it to only the X, and then I can type in 90 and it'll rotate at 90 degrees. So we created a 45-sided cylinder so that we got something that's divisible by 5. And we've started rotating and scaling it to get it in place a little better. And now I'm going to hit S to scale. I'm going to hit Y because I only want to just thin it out right now, because this is going to be our wheel blank, as it were. So I'm going to go back into wireframe view like I did earlier and try to roughly center that up. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right. We'll scale this down because our wheel hub itself doesn't need to be that big. And in fact, I'm going to show you guys another little trick that I use. If you hold down Shift and hit D, it will duplicate the object in place. And hit Enter just to leave it right there. And I'm going to hit P. Oh, I guess I need to be in the... Hit P to separate the selection. P will separate the item selected from the original, because otherwise the two objects I created are literally on top of each other and they're part of the same object. So by hitting P and choosing to separate by selection, I made the other object a separate object. And I'm going to go into face select mode, and I'm going to delete the face. delete that face. Tab key again to go back out to object mode. Let's scale it out. All right, so what we've essentially done by doing it that way is we've nested a smaller cylinder inside of a larger cylinder, and then I removed the top and bottom so that this one is just a hollow loop. So this is going to be the start for our wheel, the base structure for it. I'm going to select the outer one. I'm going to go over here to the modifier tab. That's the little wrench over here. I'm going to select a modifier. I'm going to select a solidify modifier. And what that's doing is you won't be able to 3D print anything that doesn't have volume to it. You can't print something that's literally, I mean, because that's not even a millimeter thick. That's, you know, it's has no thickness. So we're going to scale that up a little bit to give it some thickness to the rim. And I'm going to go ahead and apply. Now these two objects don't need to be separate anymore. I just separated them so that they weren't overlapping. It's like science class. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, James Bird. What's going on, man? So I don't need them to be separate objects anymore. In fact, I want them to be the same object again. So I'm going to go here, and we can do that a couple different ways. The way I'm going to do it is by clicking Join. Under the Tools tab, you click Join. It makes the two objects the same object. It combines them together. So you can see we've got the inner part of our wheel, we've got the outer part of our wheel. So now we can work on making our spokes and such. So we're going to hit Tab to go into Edit mode. Now Control and R is a ring cut. See the pink line that appeared down the center of that? And we want to, the scroll wheel on your mouse will determine how many ring cuts, and it will space them evenly. Right now I'm going to go with just the 2 ring cuts. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to hit Enter twice, because if you hit it just once, the next time you move the mouse you'll be sliding those new cuts you made back and forth within the object. Alright, now again, there are many ways to do this. Blender is a very powerful tool, and there are many different approaches. This one happens to just be my approach, which I'm not saying my approach is the best approach, far from it, in fact. Alright, so let's go into face select mode. Now, the reason I copied them off of each other is so that their geometry would be exactly the same, exact same number of sides, and everything is lined up. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and add a ring cut to the inner one too. And I'll show you why here in a bit. Okay. Added the ring cut, hit Enter twice, 2 ring cuts, scrolled my mouse wheel up once. Now I'm going to scale those rings that I just created while they're still highlighted out along the y-axis. So yeah, again, that was hitting S for scale, Y to constrain it just to the y-axis so that we didn't start getting all sorts of weird wonky things going on. Rover, you're tired because you never sleep, man. Alright, so we have a 45-sided object, a 45-sided cylinder. So what I think we should probably do... Oh, thanks for subscribing there, Brian. BV3D, just subscribe to my channel. Appreciate it, man. All right, so we want to do 5 spokes. We did 45 sides, so we need... Here we go, doing math. We need our spokes to be divisible by... we went 5 spokes. We did 45 of them. So we could do... Let's do 3. Because we're doing math. We're doing math today. And hopefully my math is right. And we're offset from center here. All right, now there's a couple different ways we can approach this next problem to make our spoke. One way is to try bridging them, but the bridge tool doesn't always work. Sometimes it's weird, but we will give it a try. We'll go into Tools, and that's in Loop Tools. We click Bridge. That one seemed to bridge okay. Cool. All right, so because we have 45 sides, if we do 3, then we skip 3 and do 3 more, right? Is my math working out here? Skip 3, do 3 more. I guess we'll all find out together. Or do I need to skip more than 3? Okay. Let's see where we end up. Because then we should have 9 per spoke because we have 3 spaces on either side. Three spaces on either side, 3 for the spoke. That's 9. That should be 5. All right, so try to bridge it again. That one seemed to work. No, it didn't. See what I mean? The bridge tool kind of messes with you sometimes. The bridge tool messed up all 3 of those faces afterwards. So when the bridge tool doesn't want to be nice, we have to do this the hard way. And that is select all those faces and delete them. And then we go, like I said, this is going to be the hard way. We go in and we select individually, go into edge select mode. That's this little key right here. Go into edge select mode, select the ones that are opposite each other, and we're going to hit the F key to make a face. F key to make a face. I don't know how long this video is going to go today. I just figured I'd get started, and my plan is for everything I do in this particular design to live stream it, and only work on this when I'm live streaming, so people can download Blender, they can download the template file, and you guys can build along with me and learn along with me, because I'm still learning this stuff. I mean, I'm no expert by any means. An expert would come in here and laugh his tail off at what I'm doing. He would go, "Why are you doing it that way? You're making things so much harder for yourself." And I am, I'm sure. I know it. So I'm waiting for a Blender expert to come in here and rake me over the coals. All right, so we made that spoke. We're going to go back into face select mode down here. We're going to skip 3. Select 3. Yeah, we're going to end up with way more than 5 spokes. We're going to end up with 9 spokes, aren't we? I don't know. My math is failing me today. I didn't sleep well enough last night. But where possible, we're going to try to use the bridge tool. That one worked. Yeah, we're going to end up with way more than 5 spokes. Okay, well, so we're not going with the 5-spoke wheel today. Either that or I can go back and calculate what I'm doing wrong here. Skip 3. Select 3. Skip 3. Select 3. Bridge it. And see that should bridge between those, but for some reason sometimes it just, well, that time it worked. And I didn't do anything other than undo it and hit bridge again. So maybe that's the key. Maybe that's what I'm missing out on, is just try it again until it works. Make sure it didn't cause any weirdness. Okay, cool. Skip 3. Which the dragging around the viewport is your center mouse button. When you hold down your center mouse button and move the mouse, it spins you around the viewport. If you haven't, those who haven't already gotten into that. Oh no, my math was flawed. I thought I did 45 sides. Okay. We're going to undo this. And it only undoes so far. Great. All right. So which, if you see me occasionally killing something, my wife or my son, one, left a bag of chips on my desk last night. I came up here this morning and the ants had found the bag of chips. And what I'm doing now is killing the stragglers who haven't realized the food source is gone and hundreds of thousands of their buddies are dead. All right. But now every time I feel a little itch on myself, I think I got an ant on me. Ants in my pants. Fix those holes. I'm just going to, before I extrude these next ones out, I'm going to plan better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I'll try skipping 5 and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere my math has failed me today. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's still failing me. I must not have ended up with 45 sides. I didn't actually count. I just put in Blender that I wanted 45 sides. That's the problem with live streaming this stuff, is you guys get to see all of the struggles as well. But I guess that way, when you get into it and you have struggles just like this, you'll go, okay, well, no, this is normal. And it is. It's normal. It's normal. Expect to have days where nothing's working the way you want it to. if I skip 4, because I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And there's a lot of trial and error in this. Somebody better at math than me will jump in here at some point and go, "You're doing it all wrong." All right, so we're going to make more spokes. And I think this one will work. Because I just realized if I made it divisible by 5 and I made the spoke 3 wide, that if I skip 2 and do 3, we'll have the right numbers. Yay. Yeah, that's going to work. So that's what our wheel spokes are going to look like. Skip 2, do 3. And I'm going to be putting a lot of faith in the bridge command right now, because I'm going to try to complete the whole thing and just let bridge take care of it all. Except I forgot to fix that hole. That's how this stream is going so far. Yeah, I could redo the number of sides on the wheel, but it's not like it is in like Fusion or something where I could just go back and add it in now. I would have to redo it. And I may end up redoing it before it's all said and done. Just like I'm having to go through and redo fixing that. Alright. Face select mode. We're skipping 2. 3 spokes. Skipping 2, 3 spokes. Bridge. Now, why did bridge do that? You see what I mean about bridge being wonky and weird? It messed with this spoke over here that nothing was even selected on, and it didn't do this one right. So, yeah, Blender's not without its, and then undo it and redo it again, and it did it fine this time. Blender's not without its warts. I guess that's a something that can be expected with anything that's open source. Right now, let's see. Bridge. Skip 2, select 3. Skip 2, select 3. Bridge. Select 3. Bridge. I see a little spot it messed up there. I messed up the last 2. Didn't see that it okay. Have to check it because sometimes it deletes random faces, and then you go back and you go, why isn't this manifold? It's not. Oh, and I only skipped 1 there. My God, that's why it looked off. Bridge. Skip 2, select 3. Skip 2, select 3. Bridge. Yeah, I caught it, I think. I think we're good now. Yeah, you can see this stuff isn't like all fun and games until someone loses an eye, right? Bridge. And see, there it did it again. The bridge tool is kind of buggy. Oh. It's one of the reasons I don't like the bridge tool, and often when I'm doing this for myself, I go in and I do it the hard way. Takes longer, but I know it's done right when it's done. And I know it didn't get one of those random weird ghost holes like that. Okay, there we go. So we ended up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spoke wheel. Yeah, okay. That math makes sense. 9 times 5. It's 45. Steepest learning curve on Blender. It's not too bad. The biggest thing with Blender when you first get into it is to go to File, Window, where's it at? Oh, File. Go to File, go to User Preferences. This one simple thing is going to make your life immensely easier. You go to the Input tab and select with, switch that to left. Because for some reason by default the selecting is done with the right, and that's like no program in the world does that. For some reason it it comes default with the right mouse button is your select, which is just a pain. And every time you instinctively click on something, you click left click, and all the left click does is move the 3D cursor around. So yeah, Colin, Blender's not that tough, but yeah, go into User Preferences, go into Input, select with left, and save that setting. It's going to make things easier. And if you're using this for 3D printing, which most of us are that are here, there's a couple of add-ons you want to find and install. The 3D View Measure It is one of them, and then if you in the search, if you just start typing in 3D print, you'll find the 3D print toolbox. So that's another add-on you'll want to have, because the 3D print toolbox, what it does is, well, let's tab out of this. All right, so select it, tab into edit mode. The 3D printing, there's a 3D printing tab over here right now because I added the 3D print toolbox. And on the 3D printing tab, if you click check all, scale this down a little bit, you can see how many non-manifold edges you have, any bad contiguous edges, which the only one that seems to be a real problem is if you have non-manifold edges and it will not slice. So I'm sure throughout our process today we will encounter some of that and we will fix it. Behind me, the X1 is printing away. It's 78% done on what it's printing. It's printing the hood, one half of the hood for the truck. Okay, so we've got a basic wheel blank kind of made here. Yeah, and that's the nice thing about, you know, if you have Blender, you can open up, you know, the Blender files, but then you can export them as any number of files that are compatible with other programs. Now I don't know, can I cannot ring cut that, can I? No. All right. So in order to fit this over the axle, I'm going to delete these faces here. Let's put it right there. Okay, back in edit mode. All right, so I'm going to go into the edge select mode. And now that I'm in edge select mode, if you hold down the Alt key and you select an edge, it will select every edge that is connected to that one all the way around a loop. So I want to select that one, and then holding down Shift plus Alt, I can select another ring. So I got both of these rings. So I'm going to hit the E key to extrude them, but then before moving my mouse, I'm going to hit the S key to scale them inward. Scale them back out here. We want it to be just slightly smaller than the peg on the end of the axle. So that way when that peg on the end of the axle pushes through the hole and pops back out, the wheel shouldn't pull back off. While I still have them selected, I'm going to scale them along the Y, outward. A little straighter. Yeah. All right. And then that's something I wanted to be able to do. Once I did that, I can ring cut this. And again, ring cut is a Control R. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out and actually close that in so that you don't see the end of that axle. So are any of you guys actually like got Blender open and following along that way right now? I'm just curious. Or plan to go back later and rewatch it and do it again. Okay, so when I'm in face select mode, holding Alt and doing a ring select, it will select all the faces along that ring. Now, what we want to do here is I want to extrude those out so that they're even with the back side of the wheel. All right. So I don't know if I. This should make the wheel a little easier to print, and I think what I need to do here, because I'm learning now that I've got a printer, things that I did wrong initially with some of my other designs that made them require all the supports and such. And I think if I angled that more, make it more of like a 45-degree angle or so by sliding it back, this whole ring back, we might be able to print this wheel with 0 support. How awesome would that be? Maybe. Get me to model it for you, James Bird. Killing me, man. You're killing me. Killing me, Smalls. Derek, what's going on, man? There we go. Extrude that out so that it is just be on the end of that. And we're going to extrude it out one more time. Out there. And we'll go ahead and scale it in a little. All right, so now the reason I'm selecting all these faces, we talked earlier about things being manifold, and faces that are going to be on the inside of a piece are not a good idea. And I'm going to close in the ring that's on this side of this, and then close in the ring on this side of this. And when I do, I don't want faces to still be on the inside. So we're going to delete those faces. And we're going to hold down Alt and select that ring. F to make a face. And deselect everything. The A key selects everything or deselects everything. If there's anything selected, you hit A, it will unselect it. If there's nothing selected, you hit A, it selects everything. All right, so we've got a wheel. We've got a wheel that will click solidly onto the axle that I think might be printable without supports, maybe. Won't know until I try it. But oh, James Bird, you can definitely do this, man. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. And if I can do this, and that's the reason I want to make this build along series. I want to show that even somebody like me who doesn't know what they're doing can totally do this. And then I want to see you guys building stuff. And well, thank you, Brian Vines. Now, here's some other cool things that we could maybe do. The backside, the inner diameter that connects to the axle, and this are flat to each other. Now there is that slope up on the inside. And it may be too steep to handle without supports. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it might be, you could attempt it. That's what I was trying for anyway. All right. So do you think the cap on the hub? Do you think that's enough detail in it, or do you think we should add some more detail? We're having fun with this today. We're just messing around. So we can try extruding some stuff and making some fancy details on the wheel. Make it more complicated to print, but might make it look cooler. Put a T on it. Yeah, I haven't learned how to do text on Blender yet. I need to. Mess with that. I'm going to go in just for fun's sake, and I'm going to ring cut. And when you do a ring cut, it automatically, when it first comes up, puts it in the center. So if you just ring cut it and then hit enter twice, so Control R, enter, enter, Control R, enter, enter. I know they'll all be in the same place on the spokes. All right, because I want to play with something for a minute. Curious what would happen. Nope, it doesn't like it. All right, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to delete these faces. Go into edge select. I'll select that edge and that edge. I'm hit F to make a face. That edge and that edge. F to make a face. That one and that one. Make a face. That might be a cool little. What do you guys think? Do that on each one of the spokes. Scalda, hey man. You guys think that'd be a cool little detail on the wheel? Yeah, later, Skalda. Thanks for stopping by, man. Um, oh, that's what I thought too. I thought you had just joined. That's why I said hi, and then everyone was like, later, Skalda. I was like, oh, I guess maybe I missed Skalda being here earlier. Because, like I said, admittedly I'm not paying a lot of close attention to the chat, and I'm sorry, guys. It's just hard to watch chat and do this stuff at the same time. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was something different. I was thinking maybe what I'll do with this design is go kind of out there, sci-fi-ish, futuristic. And anyway, that's what I'm playing with. Before you say it, Walter, don't know what you're playing with. I can hear you now. Yeah, I like that. Let's roll with that. Go around and next, Walter, we're going to make a tire. You said you wanted to know how to make a tire. That's the next thing we're going to do as soon as I finish adding these nifty little spiky looking things. So yeah, I deleted those faces. I'm selecting those two edges. I'm hitting F, which makes a triangle between them because that's the most logical face it can come up with to connect those two edges. And then closing those in. We're just going to make a sci-fi futuristic wheel. I think it looks kind of sci-fi and futuristic anyway. Appreciate you guys joining me today, and like I said, my plan is to only work on this particular model when I'm live streaming it. I don't know if anybody will want to tune in for it or follow along with it and all that stuff, but that's the hope, is that y'all will tune in. You'll want to download Blender, try it yourself, follow along, and we'll design something together and have some fun. And again, I encourage it not to be exactly like mine. Try your own thing. Yeah, it looks like an aggressive, vicious wheel. Oh, and my print just finished. Aha. It's the left side of the hood. Which, no supports. Part of it came out looking kind of funky. Which I was following along earlier in the week. There's the two pieces needed to upgrade the Y carriage. But I've actually had a little success with, I still haven't bought myself a scraper to remove stuff where you go blade. So it takes a little effort. Anyhow, I noticed, I was watching it really close last night while I was printing one of the larger pieces, which was when the bed wobble was more noticeable. And I noticed that at a certain spot, the wobble seemed to appear over and over again at that spot. So I watched it real close and started trying to investigate it, and I discovered that the Y carriage belt is rubbing on the aluminum extrusion a little bit at that one spot. When the bed gets to that spot, it rubs. So before I started this print, there we go, popped it off. Before I started this print, I loosened the 2 grub screws on the pulley on the Y-axis motor, and I slid the Y-axis back and forth a few times and tried to adjust the left to right positioning of the pulley. So I think I've eliminated that, and the wobble got a lot better. That part came out looking pretty clean. Anyway, set that on the truck and come back for this. Okay. All right, so back to this. So now we got a wheel. Now for our tire, tabletop, it's a giveaway. Did not do giveaway. Okay. For our tire, we're going to use, again, Blender gives you multiple ways to do this. What a lot of people do is they start with a plane. They design their tread on the plane, and then they wrap the plane around a circular spot. But I've tried that, and every time I've done it, it is a nightmare to connect it at the end and keep it manifold, which is the most important thing for 3D printing. So what I've been doing when I create mine, excuse me, is I've been creating a torus. Now the torus has, this one has 48 major segments, 12 minor segments. Let's go up. This is going to make this tire complicated, but let's go up to 60. Yeah. Minor segments, let's go. I've never done an even number on the minor segments before, so let's try it. I don't know, maybe it was an odd number that I hadn't done. Let's try it. Yeah. No. 16. I'm going to mess with it until we get about a rough tire shape. Yeah. Let's go with this for a start, because we're going to be modifying it heavily anyway. Rotate it along the X 90 degrees. And scale it down. Thanks, Rover. Appreciate any of the shout outs out there. Get ourselves in the ballpark here. All right. So now we got ourselves in the general vicinity. Looks like, I'll scale it down a little bit more. I want it to be just slightly larger than the wheel. That will allow for, it should still press fit together good. All right. So I'm hitting the Alt key when I select these rings, and I'm just scaling them out because I want to create that flat inner surface of the wheel. Alt, select the ring, scale it out. Till it's the same as that diameter. Scale it out. Scale it out. All right, later, Scalda. Yeah, I know this won't be the most exciting of series, but my goal is to entertain as much as possible, but to educate more than anything, and hopefully get you guys out there, you know, excited about not just 3D printing stuff, but designing stuff. Speaking of 3D printing, I probably need to load another thing on my printer. But I'll save that for after the stream, I guess. All right, so we're going to scale it along the y-axis. Until it's just a little bit wider than the rim. Make sure we're not hitting there. There, that looks like it's more or less lining up. So there's the beginnings of our tire. But now we need to give the tire its overall shape, and then we're going to give it some tread. So yeah, you can see by creating a torus, and then I just scaled all of the inner rings by hitting Alt and selecting them. I grabbed all the inner ones and I scaled them out to where they're pretty much the same diameter, and that they are just a little bit, tiny bit larger than the outside diameter of the wheel, to give a little bit of tolerance, so that maybe when I print this one out, I won't crack them putting them together like I did the ones on the truck. So now to give our shape that we want, because we don't want it to look like a donut that someone, in this case anyway, just a donut that somebody pressed onto a wheel. So we're going to select those two rings. We'll scale them out along the y-axis. It's going to start to give us a little bit more of a tire-like shape. Alt and select that ring. We're going to scale it inward a little bit. I'm going to scale this one out along the Y. Oops. Along the Y. Constrain it to the Y. Then we're going to let's scale. Let's grab this one and this one. Scale it out a little bit too. Scale it out along the Y. Round that out a little bit more. There we go. So now we have the basic tire shape. At least I would say it's a basic tire shape. Now comes the fun part, and that's tread design. And that can be done any way your imagination and math will allow it. So we made 60 sides, so we have an even number. So what are we going to do here? Because see, we can even grab stuff down on the sidewall if we want to be really fun and crazy. We can do something like that. Well, because we have 60, you should be able to use, you could use a pattern that's 3 wide, or 3 long, or 2 long, or 4. All of those should work. It's just going to change what your final pattern looks like. Like right now I'm messing with four or 5. 5 would work. 6 would work. 10 would work. Anything that would be repeatable within the 60 and should mate back up to itself at the other end. Yeah. Just a matter of what you want your final tread to look like. And when I do this, I end up sometimes playing around with different things, because what I'll do is I'll just kind of map it out on the tread, and then if I don't like it, I'll unselect it and start again. But just map it out by, you hold the shift key and select the faces. No, there is no sweep command in this. But you know, I kind of enjoy this aspect of it where I get to sit here and just kind of play. Um, I know this probably isn't for everybody. Trickiest part is remembering what my pattern was so that I repeat it correctly. And sometimes my pattern doesn't work out in real life the way it did in my head. Now, one thing we can do here, and which will probably we could mirror modify it, use a mirror modifier on it, cut it in half, and then mirror it. That's not going to work out, is it? No. Pattern went too long. Okay. Do something on the side walls like this. What I was trying to do is I'd like to get a pattern that also runs down on the sidewalls a little bit and has that kind of off-road tread look. But I guess my overall repeating pattern was too long. So yeah, I'm sure there's easier ways to do some of this stuff, but you guys get to see a little peek inside my design process because I don't draw anything out ahead of time. I don't. I like to just wing it and let it all come just straight off the top of my head. Now, if you need to design and plan things out ahead of time, you know, by all means, everybody should be entitled to their own process and what they want to do. I think that's part of the beauty of this. Is there is no wrong way to do it, except my way. My way's wrong. No. I'm deciding if, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to hit S to scale. Wait, sorry. Escape, do this first. I'm going to E to extrude, then S to scale. And then as you can see, it extruded those lugs out from there. While I've still got them selected, I'm going to move them out slightly. Or a lot. That might be fun. That'd be way different. Napping! What's going on, man? There's the right way, and then there's my way. Yes, yes. This my way is insane. But I don't mind that. All right. So, yeah, I like that. I'm going to go with that. Hit 3 to go into this view here. Vertices. Hit Z so that we go into wireframe view. I'm going to select all the vertices that are up to the middle of the tire. And I'm going to delete those vertices. So now we have half a tire. We're going to go into the modifier. We're going to mirror along the Why is it spacing it way out there? So do you need to wait for the new tread? I'm not sure what you're asking, Walter. What I don't understand is why the mirror modifier is leaving that big gap. It should be I can do that and then just scale it in. It's kind of fun. Okay. So we're going to apply that. And we're going to scale it along the y-axis inwards a little bit. Scale some more along the y-axis. There we go. My stream is set to whatever my webcam, and it's all set to auto, which this webcam is a cheap one, and my web service sucks. If anybody ever moves to Clarksville, if you have the opportunity to use somebody other than CDE Lightband, do so, because it's awful. Oh, this is a totally new model, man. You know, these wheels and tires will not necessarily. I mean, they'll be compatible with each other, and they'll be compatible with the axles on any MVS system, but they won't necessarily, because I didn't check the diameter of the wheel against the other wheel. This is its own separate entity. But no, I mean, if you wanted to print these wheels and tires, I'm sure you could, but I'd have to check the diameter of the overall diameter of the tire versus the original one. This could be taller or shorter. I don't know. I'm designing this specifically to be with this vehicle. The overall height might be different. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't use a different axle, like if this was a taller one, we can go in and we can make modified versions of this axle, which I'll show you how easy that's going to be. Shift D to copy. I'm hit X so I move it only along the X. Hit Tab to go into edit mode, and we're going to grab all these vertices, and let's grab these two. So, say you wanted to make a vehicle with even more ground clearance than the truck has. Say you wanted to design something on your own that would work with this system, and you literally, all you'd have to do is you grab those and drag those down farther, and now you've got a higher lift kit. It's that easy. And would still print flat on the bed this way, so it would print vertically up like that, and it'd be a piece of cake. But no, the ones that I got on the bus and the truck now, you know, will be fine. Because I could even use them on this design. I guess I could bring them over here and match the diameter real quick. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to save this as. We're going to call this one live stream. That's what we're going to work on it during, is live streams. And I'm going to open. Let's open the truck. Let's grab a tire from the truck, copy it, back to the live stream one, tab out of edit mode, paste it. Okay, so as you can see, the wheels and tires from the truck are larger, so we can fix that. We can Alright, so we got about the same diameter now on that. Tab out of it. I'm going to hide this tire for a minute. So yeah, you're right, Walter. I think if I keep everything dimension-wise the same, it'll be better. So we'll just do it. Walter was right about something, guys. Mark it on your calendar. No, I'm playing, man. Totally. Just busting your chops, man. Busting your chops. All right. Just gonna hide that tire. We're gonna bring back the Taurus. There we go. That tire and wheel are now on the same scale as the other one. So that wheel and tire should be interchangeable entirely with the bus or the truck. If you decide that you like that wheel and tire combination better, of course I'll have to print it to verify that. Yeah, I'll have to print it to test it for sure, but they should be the same overall diameter, so it shouldn't matter which wheel or tire that you want. If you prefer these wheels and tires, and then these will be printable, and you can put them on the truck just the same as the other. I may do something totally different with how I end up ultimately connecting them on this. I had a cool idea that might be fun since we're making this futuristic, making it kind of sci-fi thing. I was thinking about what if we put these on an articulated like swing arm, like a lever that would come, that the lever mounts onto this axle, and then it has its own little axle pegs, and then you put two tires on one on each side of that lever, and then it spins centrally along that. Might be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe we'll get there as we start designing the body if we come up with something fun. All right, so we got wheels, we got tires, and they're unique new designs on both. And that's always fun, right? And should be compatible with the old designs. So it looks like part one, that's what we're going to have, is wheels and tires. It's setting up, getting the file opened up, and starting with that. But I think I need to go ahead and wrap this up because I haven't eaten anything yet today, and I got to pick my son up in a half an hour. And then after that, I got to finish cleaning the house for the music live stream tonight. Tonight is my music live stream. If anybody's a fan of country music and wants to tune into that, Follow my music page on Facebook, which is Ricky Lee Tanner, Rickie, and follow me on Facebook, and tune in for that tonight at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this stream, part 1, with a wheel, a tire, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. I know I learned a couple things along the way myself. And we'll pick it up again here in the near future, where we will move on to the next part of the vehicle. That'll give me some time to brainstorm a little bit about what I'm going to do, and give you guys a chance to go back and rewatch this and save the file and open it up and try it yourself, and be ready to join in along with me again on episode 2. But thank you guys very much. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Ring the bell to see when I'm going to live stream more design, more of this live stream build series, and we'll design something cool together, and then we'll print it out and display it for the world to see. It'll be fun. At least I hope it'll be fun. And thank you guys. As always, it's great hanging with you. I wish I could have paid more closer attention to chat, but it's hard to like watch literally at the pixel level on this screen and watch chat too. So I'm watching chat now. Thank you guys. It was amazing. It was fun, and I hope you guys had half as much fun as I did, and we'll do more in the future. And as always, if you want to support the channel, there are links to do that down there. And thank you very much. We'll see you next time.